Hi, welcome back to the Fuzzy Files. I hope you are enjoying what's beginning to be a very hot summer. And I should have posted this earlier because the subject is summer pet sitting and 8 things you should really be keenly aware of when you're pet sitting, especially dog walking in the summer. Number 1, summer is the busiest season, really. I mean, Christmas is really busy, but it's only a week or two. And summer can be from like June to September. So you have to be prepared to have a lot of people traveling and for there to be travel delays, and you need to be prepared about what to do. If you have clients booked for the day after, or you've booked your own vacation for the day after, that can be a really dicey situation if a client contacts you at the very last minute and says, my flight's been delayed and I'm gonna have to spend the night in Denver and I won't be home or whatever. So make sure that you know what is to happen. Will you continue pet sitting for them until they return, which is usually the case, or will you have to pass it off to their emergency contact, friend, relative, or take the pets to a boarding facility? You need to know these things in advance so that there's a smooth handoff. If you don't feel like you need to worry about it because, hey, you were only scheduled until that Friday night and then you're off, well, you shouldn't be pet sitting because pets are vulnerable and they need to be taken care of. Nobody's going to feed them if you're not there and the clients aren't back unless you have already had arrangements made and they're taken care of. I actually did do that one time. I took a vacation the day after a client was coming back, but I made it really clear up front that I would be gone, so they'd have to have other arrangements in case anything happened. And nothing did, but you just need to be prepared. So number 2, air conditioning. Yeah. When it's over 100 degrees like it is outside today, it's really important to have air conditioning running and running well. When you go to a client's house and they're out of town, please make sure you check with them to find out exactly what they want you to do should the air conditioning go on the blink, because sometimes you can't reach clients when they're on vacation, and you certainly can't leave pets in a house when there's a really bad heat wave if there's no air conditioning. Find out if there's a company to call or a relative to call who can arrange to have the company come over and take care of the air conditioning while they're gone. Or worst case scenario, you may have to take the pets to your home or to a boarding facility or something because you just can't leave them in a super hot house. It's not safe. And even if the air conditioning is blasting always in the summer, make sure that the pets have plenty of water. So number 3, extreme heat is a killer for both dogs, cats, and people. Well, for both pets and people, all pets. And it's especially bad for dogs when they go out walking on the hot pavement because their paws can burn. In an ideal situation, if you can get a set of booties or maybe several different sizes for your different sized dog paws, but if there are any adjustable ones and the dogs are cooperative, it's good to put little booties on their feet if the pavement is hot. So if you don't really know how hot it's likely to be, there is something called a 7-second test. And you basically take the back of your hand and you put it on the pavement for 7 seconds. If you can't stand it for 7 seconds, their paws aren't going to stand it for that long. If that is the case, if you find out that, oh, this is really too hot, make sure that you only walk them in shaded areas, that you stick to dirt trails or shaded sidewalks. Just do the best you can to keep them off of hot pavement. Then when you're walking them, things can happen and it can get to the point where the pet might get overheated. And that can happen pretty quickly. So you want to make sure that when you're walking that you're carrying preferably 2 bottles of cool water, not cold, because if you have to put this water on the dog, if it's ice cold, like if you have a bottle with ice in it and it's really, really cold and you put it on their skin, you can actually cause a problem where the blood vessels constrict and then the body will trap heat. So you don't want that. So just cool water. And also it's really good to carry one of these. I bought this several years ago. It's got 6 speeds. It's a fan. You wear it around your neck, so you don't have to carry it. You want to have that because if the dog gets overheated, the thing to do is have them lay on the ground, and you want to try to pour a little bit of water under their armpits, on their paws, on their chest, and on their belly. You don't have to soak the dog, but get these key areas wet and then use the fan on those areas to create evaporative cooling because you want the dog's temperature to drop. Hopefully, once you do that, the dog will be okay and you'll be able to get the dog home. Once you get home, you want to hang out with the dog for a bit before you leave to make sure that now that they're back in the air conditioning and they have access to lots of water and it's cooler, that they're okay. There are signs to look out for heat stroke. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, don't drape wet towels on a dog if they're overheated because that can actually trap heat. So just don't do that. And you want to look for the early signs of heat stroke, and that would be heavy panting, nonstop, heavy drooling, wide eyes, unusually pale or red, sticky gums. Now, if they're really dehydrated, they may be weak, confused, wobbly. They may have diarrhea or vomiting. So this is very serious and you need to get the pet immediately to an emergency vet. We hope that won't happen. And if you're careful about making sure your walks are short and that you only let them out in the backyard to do their business and then play in the air-conditioned house, you'll avoid these things. But at the very least, keep them on shadier areas, dirt paths, shaded sidewalks, things like that. You also want to carry a little collapsible bowl that you can pour water into if they want to drink. Now, if this is just a regular walk, it's kind of warm, but you're going for a while, it's good to have that. But I do need to warn you that I have found when dogs are really hot and panting, they tend not to drink. So make sure that you know what to do to keep them cool. Like I said, with where to put water on them and with the fan, because they may not drink any water. So I'm going to share something about things that you should have as what I call your summer kit checklist, and also the temperatures to calculate for thresholds for walking. But it should also go without saying, never ever leave a dog or a cat or any living being in a vehicle if it's hot. And literally, if it's over like 65 degrees and your car is in the hot sun and there's an animal in there with the windows up, it can get really hot fast too. I mean, anything above that is really scary because really an animal could die within minutes if left in a hot car. So please don't do it. Don't do it thinking you're going into a store for 1 minute and it turns into 10 and then you have a dead dog. Don't do it. Number 4, the 4th of July fireworks. Woo, that's a tough one for me because we actually have neighbors that don't care, and they set off illegal fireworks not far from here. And one year, I think it was July 3rd, my poor cat was enjoying the fresh air in the evening at the screen, and then a firework went off, and that cat just bolted to the basement and hid behind the dryer for the rest of the night. It's terrifying for animals to hear fireworks, so please don't set them off in a neighborhood. That's not where they belong. I won't even talk about the fire risk to your neighbors' houses, but it's really not good. I mean, it terrifies pets, people with PTSD, veterans, and it upsets babies. There are plenty of already designated areas where the counties and the states do that sort of thing. But if you live near any fireworks, whether they're legal or illegal, make sure that you prepare for it. And this is not really pet sitting, but for your own personal pets, unless you are, if you have to walk a dog in the evening of July 4th, which I hope that people would not be away because their pets really need someone in the house during that time because they'll get freaked out. I mean, some are not bothered by it, but a lot of them are. And if they are, it can be a bad scene. Dogs have been known to hurt themselves or die trying to escape from a home through glass just because they're so terrified of the sound. So what you need to do is try to walk the dog before sundown, so there's no chance of fireworks. And then if you know for sure there are no fireworks after like 10 o'clock at night, then walk the dog again if you need to. But try to avoid being out during that time because you could lose your dog if they're on the leash and they bolt. I wouldn't plan a trip away if you have pets on July 4th. But when you are there, try to comfort them wherever they go to hide. Take their favorite blanket or bed, put it there, get a radio and put some calming music. Try to make it loud enough that it hopefully drown out some of the noise from the fireworks. Let them know that you're there. And one thing you can do, they sell something called a thunder shirt, and that's a really great product. It's kind of a heavy coat in a way that you put on the dog that makes them feel calmer. And they may even have them for cats, I'm not sure. But it's a good thing to have. Keep that in mind and be careful on the 4th. Also, keep your dog in a closed room if you can, dog and cat, in case you have to open the door to somebody on the 4th of July and they want to bolt outside. You don't want that. Keep them safe. Number 5, insects and tick bites. This time of year, insects and ticks are just on the move and everywhere, unlike in winter. So you do have to be careful and check your dog for ticks if you go out for a walk in the woods. Also, if you happen to see a bee buzzing around the dog, make sure that you check that they haven't been stung. When I worked at the vet one time, we had a poor little dachshund that had been stung by a bee or a wasp come in, and that poor dog's snout was like 3 times bigger than it should have been. And that can be very dangerous. I mean, they could have difficulty breathing. You don't know what could happen. I mean, that turned out okay, but it's really serious. So if you do notice any kind of swelling on your pet's face, get them to the vet and try to get them treated for an allergic reaction to the bee sting. So number 6, poison ivy. I'm really allergic to poison ivy, but I wasn't paying attention, I guess, because I was walking a Labradoodle one time in the woods, and I guess he wandered into some poison ivy on the ground, because I got a call from the client and she was like, "Did you walk him through poison ivy the other day?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know, maybe." And she said, "Well, I've got it all over me, so I think maybe you did, so please be careful." And yeah, if you don't touch the dog at the end of the walk, you just take the leash off and say bye, and you're not allergic, there's no problem for you. But if it gets on their fur and it goes home, then you could be risking getting it all over the owners and or their children. So please be cautious about that. Learn what they look like. There's poison ivy and there's poison oak, and you really want to know what they look like so you can identify them and keep the dogs from walking in poison ivy. Let's see, poisonous plants. So there's lots of beautiful flowers out this time of year, lots of nice plants, and many of them are very poisonous to pets. So you really have to be careful. Don't let dogs chew on any plants while you're out if you don't know what they are. There are so many, too many for me to list. I recommend you go to the ASPCA's website for poison control. They have a really comprehensive list of all the plants and flowers that could be a problem for your pets. Keep that in mind. Don't let them rub against or especially chew anything that might be bad. A couple of things that are severely bad for dogs are foxtails and cheatgrass, and that's everywhere all over the US. I don't know about the UK. But identify those things so you know, keep your dogs away from fox. It can get into their nasal passages, they inhale it, and then it can go into their lungs, and it could be very, very serious and could kill them. And also indoor plants. And sometimes people want to bring in their plants from the outside into the house because they're pretty, but you need to know if those plants are going to be poisonous if your pet, especially your cat, should chew on them. Last year, I had a floundering begonia that I brought in, and I put it in a back room that I thought I had closed securely, but apparently I hadn't. And I found the door open and some leaves had been chewed. And a few days later, and I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, I mentioned it to the vet and he said, well, that could have had something to do with it, but we don't know. Anyway, she got pancreatitis, really severe pancreatitis, and it was life-threatening. It's no joke. Don't let your pets chew on any plants that you brought in, especially if you don't know, like lilies, lily of the valley, and any other kind of lily you can think of just about is extremely toxic. There's so many, like I said, check out that website. And well, it's not a flower or a plant. I think I should mention that, especially this time of year, you get more rodents, and a lot of times people want to put out poison, which I don't like the idea of, because a poisoned rat can also poison wildlife that eats that rat that's dead. Well, I went on an interview to meet a little puppy I was going to do midday dog walks for. It was a cute little beagle, and I get a call the next day, and the client had told me that her husband had put some rat poison under the deck and really didn't think about the possibility that the puppy could get into it. And the puppy did, and the puppy died. It's very important to keep those kinds of things away from your pets, but I generally would think don't do it at all unless you can absolutely guarantee that no other animal is going to get a hold of that, or even get a hold of the dead animal that ate it, because a lot of owls have been killed by scooping up rats that had just been poisoned. So anyway, that's my PSA. The number 8 that I want to talk about is algae blooms. We're hearing a lot about algae lately, aren't we? But there is something called a toxic algae bloom that happens in lakes. I have a lake around here. People go boating and fishing, and they walk their dogs around the lake. And sometimes they let the dogs swim in the lake. And that can be really problematic and possibly deadly to the dog and to you if you get that water on you and somehow ingest it. A toxic algae bloom is exactly what it sounds like. It's toxic, and there were numerous reports of this killing people's pets who had gone in to swim in lakes that had this. And where I live, they usually put a big sign up saying don't let them swim because of that. But, you know, it can happen before the authorities get there with the signs. So just exercise caution. Dogs love those little kiddie pools that you can have at home, so, you know, they're safer. Anyway, I think that's about it. I hope you have fun with your dogs and don't let all this scare you, but just be prepared and be cautious. We all love our pets and we don't want anything bad to happen to them. So enjoy your summer with your beautiful pups and cats, and thank you very much for watching. And I hope you have a fantastic summer, and take care of yourselves and all your fuzzy buddies, and I'll see you next time.